Hello everyone. Welcome to another tier maker video for the Knights and Summons. We're going to be doing the water attribute. My name is Javakun, your friendly neighborhood Discord mod, and then I'm here with,
Term.
and we're going to start covering these first from the base set. First got um, Water Knight. So Water Knight is a 800 base attack, 3 EA with the ability of this ally ignores all fire equipped cards on your opponent's field. So, what do you think?
So for that one, it's like the rest that we've been putting for those that being able to at least have the three equip, but able to ignore the fire equipment cards. Very situational. Could come in handy. For those like that, as what I said, they should put into the B.
Yeah, B. I think we've done all of them in the B territory. So,
Mm-hmm.
let's move on. Next one is ooh,
Oh man,
the
go ahead.
King of the Kings. Okay, Deep Sea Knight. Deep Sea Knight is a once per turn. You can retrieve any banished card from any player's field. If you do this, this card gains plus 300.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a 1000 base attack plus the 300 it gains for its ability every time you do it. One equip, and you can have up to 3 of this card. So I'll let you go first, Term.
Whew. So with the card being with that effect, very useful, especially if the opponent is banishing your cards or you're banishing them yourself. With that being said, getting a plus 300 once per turn, that's a pretty nice chunk, to be honest. That gives it at least an average base attack within. I mean, especially also having one equip, you can add more stuff to him. He's a strong man.
Yep. I could not agree anymore. Like Deep Sea Night is one of the first when we started the Discord and when we started playing with some of these cards. Deep Sea Night Neptune armor just was broken. It was just so good that just getting that Neptune armor back after negating an attack and it gaining plus 300. This thing can grow so quickly if you don't deal with it, but then at the same time, it's just about right where it doesn't have any protection for itself. It doesn't have an exorbitant amount of power, but the effect is so powerful. Be able to steal cards from your opponent's banish zone, being able to retrieve cards that your opponent banished from your zone, making them effectively like if they wasted a banishing gaze on a single target and then you the very next turn you play this and you pick up the same thing and you play it again, whatever they vanish and you play it again, essentially they wasted a banishing gaze. It is just such a good card.
Especially you can add it back to your hand, which is just crazy. Not to the portal, but
Yeah,
back in your own hand
yeah,
to just play it again. It's just it gets overpowering over time, most definitely.
yeah, yeah. To me, this card is SS, obviously.
Yes, yes.
I think nobody would bat an eye that even if you, I know a lot of people who don't run this if you're
Hmm.
not running water, but even at that, I would still run this even if I'm not running water because it's just such a good card to just get stuff off the banishing zone.
He just gets a nice chunk of attack too, 300. Like
Yeah,
that over some time that adds up, man.
and he has one equip. Like
Hmm.
you can give him a Neptune's armor. You can give him a Dark Chaos sword. You can give him so many things that are cost one, and it's a powerhouse at that point, right?
Right.
So the very next card is Diver Knight. Diver Knight is a 1400 0 EA. When this card is summoned, you can return any card on your field and any cards it may have equipped back to your hand. So this is the typical bounce knight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you have on the board, it bounces it back to your hand. Um, I don't remember if this one is one of the ones that is gonna get that errata where it's only gonna apply to water cards. Because I believe every single knight or variation of this skill of a knight is getting the same treatment for that errata where it's like it's only of its own type. Um, but yeah, this card is good, but it's situational. Like it's not every time you want to bring something back up into the hand. I think in the past, we put
We
something like
we put it in B tier with the rest of them of the
exactly,
bouncers. Like it has a nice chunky base attack for like mid tier,
yeah,
but the effect having that bouncer is just situational.
yep,
Doesn't really help a whole lot here.
right, right,
There's not much else to him.
right. I mean, you know, when this card was as it's written right now, including with the Warp Shaman, that was just crazy, right? Because you could just keep bouncing the Warp Shaman and do an infinite loop. Essentially, turn
Mm,
one, you could basically infinite loop. But nevertheless, I think yeah, this card did get that treatment where it's only for water, but so it's basically to me it stays in the B tier.
mhm.
Okay, next one we have Sapphire Knight. You want to go over Sapphire Knight?
Yep. So Sapphire Knight, once per turn, you can banish a water card from your hand. If you do, you can revive any ally from any discard pile. It has 800 attack and it has 2 equipment cards. So, what's your thought with the whole revival
Yeah,
aspect?
yeah. So, you know, it's an interesting concept, right? Um, Banishing a card from your hand, so you have to pay cost to bring something back, right? So at the end of the day, it's a 1 for 1. Um,
But it can be from any discard
right.
pile.
It could be from any. So it's a matter of how you build your portal.
Hmm.
Do you typically build your portal depending on your opponent's portal, or do you typically build your portal thinking, okay, well, there's something that might die and I want to make sure I can bring it back. So you hold this card in your hand up until the point where you need that revive. So
Hmm.
and you have to have something else, right? You can't just play it and that's it. No, you gotta play it and then remove something from your hand to be able to bring something back.
Hmm.
Um, it is situational.
Right.
Um, I feel like it's more for a mono deck, but in a blue mono deck, like in a water mono deck, this card would be great because you
Right.
could
Right.
just constantly pick up your opponent's cards. If you try to, guard this card, it has two EA slots, so
L-
you
Like you
can buff
can
it up.
Like you can get rid of your water sprites and then bring in something back even bulkier.
Yeah, basically. Your toxic water sprites, if you don't want to have them, you can just get rid of them. Um, you know, it is banishing, right? You banish a water card, but then that creates synergy with your deep sea knight because your deep
Hmm.
sea knight picks it up from the banishing. So essentially, you
You're
end
just
up,
getting in a loop.
yeah, you're getting into this loop of you have the banishing aspect, but then deep sea knight recovers a banish card for no cost, right? There is no cost to deep sea knight. That's the crazy part. um, so it just between these two, there's a synergy. So to me, this card is on the A tier because it
Yes.
requires the blue synergy.
Right. Right. I definitely agree with you on that.
Okay, now next we have a blue knight. So blue knight is if you control any water allies, this card gains plus 100. If your opponent controls any water allies, this card gains plus 100. It is already a
Plus a
plus
thousand.
1000. Sorry, plus 1000. This card is already a 1000 base attack and it has 1 EA. So essentially, if you're going up against anything that has water, you want to run this card, right?
Mm-hmm.
If the meta in the future is water, you're running this card.
Most of.
If you have cards and water is one of those portals that you can summon water cards into your opponent's field, thus they essentially have a water card on their side because you put it there regardless of whether their portal was water or not. You run this card. 2000 is such a huge
He's
advantage.
a big boy right off the rip.
Right.
If they have a water card, or as what you said, you trap them with a water card.
Right. Now, the key with this card is you need to strategize. When
Mm-hmm.
you play it, when you're eliminating your opponent's allies, you need to make sure you retain that 2000 for the longest period you can, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because as it is, it's both a good attacker, but it's also a wall. You can use it defensively to just stall the game to maybe draw better cards, maybe make a move to a better play, etc. So you don't want to immediately play this and crash it into your opponent's water because then now you no longer have the buff.
Mm.
So, to me, again, there's a synergy. I put it in A.
Yep. And then for the Diver Knight, I would say I would put it over the Water Knight.
Okay, got it, got it. Good, 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 good revision.
All right, what's the next one?
Next one is
Poseidon.
Poseidon Knight. So Poseidon Knight is a rare and it is 700x, no EA. This card attack is equal to 700x the amount of water allies you banish from your hand or field upon summon. So this is a little bit different
Mm-hmm.
from like some of the other cards that we've had where it's like, oh, it's based on however many banished cards your opponent has on the graveyard, on the discard zone, or in the banish zone, or the roll of a die, or something like that, right?
Yeah.
When you summon this card, if you wanted basically to have any amount of power, any amount of base attack, you actually have to banish something along with it. Like literally,
Yeah.
if you play this and you don't banish anything, it has zero.
Especially, it has to be upon summoned.
Yes.
It gets that. Not over time. If you have none and then you get one, it still says zero. It doesn't move up to 700 because
Right.
it's right when you summon it. It
Yep.
has to stick with that.
Yep.
So for me, with that card, I I don't know. I would say it's a D and low C for
I
how that effect happens. It has to at least have one already in there, not gradually going up.
I agree with you. I think like the fact that you need three cards at the very least, you play this card and you have to banish three other cards, it's a problem. Now, now, there is a combo, and I know a lot of people don't know about this combo, but there is a combo. What you do is you go and you have basically you have three copies of Deep Sea Knight,
Hmm.
and Deep Sea Knight, you can activate its effect per card per turn, right? So you can you can play one Deep Sea Knight, you can play this card, you can banish two Deep Sea Knights, and something else. I don't know, two other cards, whatever you want. And the idea is, and they can be from the field or they can be from the hand. And the idea is this card becomes a powerhouse because you just discarded four cards, right? You banished four cards. Well, the idea is with the one deep sea knight that is on the field, you pick up another deep sea knight, you play it, you activate its effect, you pick up the other deep sea knight, you play it, you do its effect, and you pick up the last card. Literally, you're essentially just tutoring back the cards that you just basically sacrificed to give this card, what is it, 2800
Mm.
attack. But the chances that you have all three deep sea knights in your hand, the chances that you have two other water allies. By the way, there is a key word. It's allies. It can't be something else. It needs to be
Right.
allies. It's a rough play. I think it's a C. Um, but there are plays with it. Like it's not terrible. It's just you really need to work
Yep.
the combo to get it off.
Hmm.
Again, Deep Sea Night is such a great card because it just allows these shenanigans, right? So, next card is,
The ancient water dragon.
yeah, go for it.
So with this card is destroyed. If this card is destroyed, your opponent does not gain a point. And then it has 1100 attack and one equipment slot.
So,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
you go first. You go first.
So with this one, like, I mean, personally, it can come in handy with the whole effect and how they can't get a point off of you. But I just see that that's all it's used for, as what like a blocker, as what you can say.
I
It's all he's used for.
so some people have played this card
Hmm.
in first turn because it's a nice way to protect, basically, from not allowing the opponent to get a
Right.
point off of you. Um, it You can use it to try to hit face down cards, right? Because typically, if your opponent is playing a face down card that is something like a red shadow or something that is bigger, but they're trying to hide that it's bigger, so you're kind of running the risk of hitting a wall, like a ancient forest giant or something. Um, People play this, and if they get destroyed because their opponent was higher than you, then they don't get a point, right?
Right.
So
Right.
it's a in a all mono water deck, I would play it. I wouldn't play it for anything else. I don't think it's enough value in a
Hmm.
deck or in a portal that I could run it just because it's good.
Right. It's just a blocker, basically.
Yeah, B. Hello, B.
Yep.
Okay. Toxic Water Beast. This
Hmm.
card cannot be destroyed. If attacked while face down, uh, trade your opponent this card with the attacking card. While this card is face up on the field, all other allies except water attributes lose 200 attack. It has 100 base attack and 1 EA. Okay, this card has an errata because I believe the new version of it, what it does is it corrects the first sentence so that this card cannot be destroyed while it's face down. So after that, it can be destroyed. The problem with how it's worded right now is that essentially the moment it's on your side of the field and it's face up, basically becomes invincible on that side unless you banish it or something, right?
Right.
Because people can't attack it. You yourself would have to bounce it or do something to sacrifice it or something. It's a problematic wording. So it got eroded to just specify that while it's face down, it can't be destroyed, but not the moment it's face up, yes, somebody can go and crash into it.
Right. But as currently with its wording as of right now, this
Yeah.
card is one of the I personally say it's one of the best trap cards only cuz basically saying a card that attacks this while it's face down, you basically swapping it.
Yeah.
Saying like a high attack ally attacks this, it's just done for. You basically swap it out, boom. Yeah, you can't destroy it, but I mean, hey, you got a better card now.
Yeah. Basically. Um, I I'm actually thinking this is S tier.
Mhm.
Just because it's a good trap. Um, it doesn't matter who attacks it, right? Um, yes, when you play it face down, people typically tend to be wary of stuff that you play face down. But when it lands on their side of the field, it's a negative 200 across the board, typically, right? Except for other water attribute cards. But, you know, still, you're always going to try to run this if you're in a water attribute portal. So I think it stands on its two legs
Mhm.
and it has a solid effect.
Just like the next one, the
Yep,
underwater giant.
go for it.
So if your opponent has an open space on their field, you can place this card there. If you do, this card's attack becomes 700. This card cannot be this card cannot the
Cannot
what
be
card
attacked.
cannot be attacked the turn this effect is activated. So basically, meaning it's a base attack. If it's on your field, is 1400, but if you put it on their field, it's 700, and it has 0 equipment slots.
Yep. So yeah, in the website it has a little bit of a typo. I think that
Yeah.
that got fixed. So yes, this card is great. It's a
Mhm.
dual, basically ability. Either play it on an opponent's turn or play it on your own turn. Um, yeah, if you play it on the opponent's turn, yeah, you can't attack it, but it's fine. The idea is that it it's wasting a ally spot for them with a
Right.
700 0 EA card on their side, which is very
Mhm.
weak, and most allies can go over that fairly easily. So you know that upon the next turn, there you go, you can use it. Now, that being said, your opponent can sacrifice it, right? So it's good. But if your opponent's prepared for that type of situation, they can do something with it. Um, Most opponents aren't prepared for that type of situation, which usually caught them off guard, which usually disrupts their plays, and that's why this card is so good. I think this card is right there.
Yeah, I can agree with you. As what you said, it definitely always catches everyone off guard. I personally went against a lot of portals with this. I've never been like on game with trying to get rid of it. And they're just always I always have to find cars to take it out, basically.
Yeah, yeah. I've gotten people to play it on my side of the field. I've played it on opponent's side of the field, and it's worked. It does what it needs to do. It messes people's board. People have a plan with all four slots on their side of the board, and you play this, and boom, it's disruptive, right? That's what you
Hmm.
want. You want cards that are disruptive. So yeah, great card. Next one.
Yep.
Got
The water golem.
yes, the water golem is a 600 3 EA golem. This during your turn, this card sorry, during your turn you can discard this card to send any face down equip card to the discard pile. So it's a nice way to get rid of some face down equip that you think might be problematic. We're
Hmm.
talking. maybe like a banishing, or sorry, a blazing sword. I believe it's the one that if you were to attack your opponent's monster, or ally, sorry, and they have that equipped, essentially it banishes the attacking monster. Um, that's a good card to get rid of this, but this is very situational. Um, it's not every time you go trying to remove people's face down equips. I feel like most of the times you try to deal with the ally rather than the equip itself. It has 3 EA, so you can buff the living hell out of this. It's a golem, so it synergizes with golems, but it's really low in base attack. I mean,
Yeah.
pretty much anything can get over this.
Yeah, and as what you said, all it's used for is just getting rid of a face down equipment card, not even a face up. So,
Correct. Um, there are, this card brings a little bit of a gameplay situation, and I don't know how it's resolved right now off the top of my head. Where if you play this card, can your opponent respond by flipping up their face down cards, right?
hmm.
Um, I don't know that.
If it's a quick action card, yes, but other than that, I
Probably
don't think
not.
so.
Yeah, probably not. Well, but that at the same time, it's like, well, they might want to use a quick effect face down card at that moment, right? To try to like get away of this card without having to lose it, right?
Hmm.
So situational, very situational. Where do you place it?
For me, I would put it in B, to be honest. With the how the effect is, I mean, it has to be specifically a face down equipment card. Um, and
I
especially with hmm?
yeah, sorry, go ahead, finish.
Especially with what you just said now with how it can go against lightning cards, the lightning effect. I
Yep.
mean, it's situational. It all depends on how it goes.
Right, you got to also remember that most lightning effect cards that dictate, you can play this card on your opponent's turn, sometimes specify when in the
Hmm.
turn you can play, like during your opponent's attack phase or before your opponent's attack phase. Like they
Right.
sometimes specify that. I think it's there, honestly. I think
Yeah.
it's a high C.
Yeah. I definitely would agree with you on that one.
Okay, next one. Okay, water sprites. Where are we putting all those water sprites?
So, but with this one, it has the special effect with the how if this card was equipped, you can equip this on your opponent's field if they have an available EA, and then if you do that, it loses 100 attack.
That is true. That is true. But this isn't the toxic water sprite, which is an even
Right.
better card than this.
With this one, at least with the water sprite for at least taking up someone's one EA and losing 100 attack, I'll give it a B. To be
I'll
honest, with that,
I'll give it to you. I'll
and
put it in the
then
B.
would it be better than the dragon?
Oh yeah, definitely better than the dragon.
And then I would say it's better than the water knife, but that's as far as I say it can go.
Got it. Sounds good. Okay, next one. Go for it.
Uh, okay, here we go. The ancient ocean giant. So at the end of the turn, this card was summoned. Either discard it or replace a card your opponent controls with it. It has 1700 attack and no EA slots. What's your thought on it?
Okay. This is a difficult card. It's a really big card, right? You might want to play this like in a very smart way because its effect can be problematic, right? You can discard it and ignore essentially you used it for one turn and it's gone, right? It's like you used it to get rid of something annoying like uh ultimate protector or a ancient uh forest giant or a big golem, a flame golem or something like that, right? You were trying to get rid of something that was above 1500 and you needed a nice way to get rid of it, so you play this
Mhm.
card. Now, there's a second uh there's a second good effect of this card. Let's say your opponent has a really, really annoying card.
Right.
Uh Chaos King, um Xyldrex, um No Name Dragon. You can literally swap No Name Dragon for this card.
Yep.
Literally. It literally you gave them a 1700 beater with no EA and you took their 3000 no EA beater.
And
Um
then you can just kill it yourself, basically.
exactly. Now, it is situational.
Mhm.
But if you're playing smart, if you're playing it at the right moment, this card's insane. It's just a matter of how you play it. It has the good and the bad. If somebody doesn't know how to play it, it's bad.
Mhm.
It could be bad, yeah. If somebody knows how to play it, it's great. So where do you think?
See, so with that, with your saying, I would rank it an A.
An A?
But what were you saying?
I was gonna say S.
Okay. I
Just
was gonna say a high A, but I mean S could work too.
the thing is, like, it can stand on its own. Like, I could put this in
Oh yeah,
any
most
other.
definitely.
I could put this in any other portal, and it would still work. It doesn't need water.
No, no. With its high, above average base attack, it definitely can stand on its two legs.
And its effect, it's situational, but if you play it smart, you can get around its negative part.
Mhm.
So I think it's S. I definitely
Yeah.
think it's S. Next one.
All right. Next one, it would be the what was his name?
Uh,
The power
power.
of war.
Yeah, the power of water. Any ally equipped with this card gets banished at the end of the turn. It was activated. It gets plus 1000 and it costs 1 EA. This is an insanely big buff as an equip, right?
Mhm.
Yes, the card that was attached to this does get banished at the end of the turn, but as we've gone over and over and over, water is the attribute where you try to bring stuff back from the banish zone.
Mhm.
Um, it's great. This card's really powerful. It's a
Yes.
sleeper. Since it has the lightning bolt, um, it's a quick effect that only lasts one turn. So after that one turn, this basically gets discarded. Um, you know, I'm actually very, very interested to know if there is any way to place this on something like a Chaos King where it can't get banished. Would it still get banished or would it not? Because this card cannot get banished, right?
Hmm.
It's
I get
interesting.
what you're saying now.
It's
What
interesting.
it sounds like it would just fizz out,
Yeah.
but this card would also just get banished.
Well, no. So this card
Oh,
gets.
the
Yeah,
ally,
yeah,
but
exact.
this card gets discarded.
Yes. So
Right.
so the ally stays, but the equipment goes away, right? It fizzles at the end of the turn. So there
All right.
are ways around this effect. It's
It,
situational.
you would just have to have it on someone who can't be banished, like the beetles as well.
Yeah, if you have more than one, I think it's two beetles, right?
Two beetles.
You could add. Man, that is actually pretty powerful. Now that I think of it, some of the beetles can go pretty large if you have all three of them, like the green beetle, right?
Right.
Um, but it's a matter of whether they have the EA one cost for it.
Right.
It's great. I think solidly this card is an A.
Yep. And where would you rank it within the A?
Right where it is.
All right.
Actually, no, my bad.
I would put it above.
I actually think Blue Knight is better than Sapphire.
Okay.
What where
And
would you put this?
no, I think it's where it should be. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
With reading with the Sapphire with the revival, I think yeah, it should be where it is.
Okay. Okay. Next one, we
Oh
got a
man.
summoner. All right, where we have we
Oh.
put all the other summoners?
So with the summoners, we've been saying
It's
there were,
C
let's see,
tier.
C tier,
Yeah.
because
It's
all they do is just summon water summon cards from the portal,
yeah.
and that's all it does.
Yeah. That's
With this one, it's the two EA cost. Unless you have no one on the field, then it costs 0, and
yeah.
that's all it does.
Again, um, yeah. Next one. Underwater Kingdom. Underwater Kingdom is a 300 plus 2 EA cost. While this card is on your field, any water allies you controlled were to be destroyed, you can choose to either discard them or send them back to your portal. It, if sent back to your portal, they do not count as cards destroyed. So this is very important.
Hmm
This is very important. When you are trying to get a point from an opponent, you need to destroy their opponent's card. Okay, and destroy and defeat are essentially the same thing, but when they say discard, banish, or remove, don't mean the same thing. Only when you are destroying is when your opponent gets a point. So effectively, what this card prevents you from doing is from giving your opponent points while they are trying to basically kill all your allies.
hmm
Um, so contrary to every other kingdom card that we've seen in the past, this is the only card that actively allows you for no cost whatsoever to block your opponent from gaining points.
hmm
It just it's great. It's honestly great. It doesn't buff all of your allies like some of the other ones did. It only gives plus 300 to the one that you equipped it. Yes, it's a 2 EA cost. It's kind of a little bit of a high cost, but
Yeah.
it matters because you're essentially saying, I'm going to put this on somebody that I know is not going to die for a couple turns, and this is going to prevent my entire, basically, field from giving points to the opponent.
hmm
It's good. It's good. It's
Yep.
situational, but it's good. Where would you place it?
For me, with being the 2 cost as well, and not helping the rest, I would throw it in B.
Beat me too. I'm actually around here. That's where I'm at.
Okay. Yeah.
Actually, no. Sorry, here. Sprite still
Yeah.
probably step over me.
Yeah. With him still being able to go on the opponent, and losing them, their attack. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Want to do water armor?
The water armor. So with the ally equipped with this card, with this card is destroyed, you can choose to send it back to your portal. If you do, it does not count as a card destroyed.
There you go.
So it gives you plus 300, and then if it's a water attribute, it gets another 100 with a cost of only 1.
Yep.
So with
And
that being said,
and
hmm,
that effect is really not bad.
right, with the card that this is only stuck to, it can't be destroyed. you can just throw it back to the portal and just continue on. Basically, they don't get a point. They waste their attack on that.
Yeah, so think of this. You equip this to Deep Sea Knight. They're going to attack Deep Sea Knight because the Deep Sea Knight's broken. You essentially put Deep Sea Knight back into your portal, and they don't get a point. And
Hmm.
this card goes discarded. But in the meantime, you just gave 400 to Deep Sea Knight. That's huge.
Yeah, it would just have to get someone tanky enough to push through to get to Deep Sea Knight if this was equipped on him, basically.
Yep. I mean, think about it. You play Deep Sea Knight when you know you're going to activate its effect. So the moment you activate its effect, it's a 1300. So you add this on top of it, and you're now
He's
Deep Sea Knight is a 1700. That's
mm-hmm.
insane. It's a
Just
great
right off the rip.
it's a great card. I actually think I think it's better than this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say should be A tier, and then it would be better than the what's
Power of
that?
Water.
Yeah,
Okay, next one.
the Poseidon sword.
Yep. The Poseidon Sword is another equip, which is a 300 plus 200 to waters, only 1 EA cost. If this card is in your discard pile, you can banish it. If you do, negate one attack. Okay, so basically, we're entering the world of the water negate in this aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So water has two core negates: Neptune's armor and Poseidon's sword. Poseidon Sword, you basically need to have played it on an opponent, sorry, on an ally, have the ally die, and then you can use its effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's a one cost for plus 500 to a water. It synergizes really well with water, so in that end, it's pretty strong.
Yeah, you can.
Um,
As what we said, you can throw it on Deep Sea Knight, and boom, sorry, at 1800.
Yep, yep. Um, well, guess what? If you discard it and you essentially banish this Poseidon sword, you can use Deep Sea Knight to bring it back, and there you go. The loop continues, right?
You just keep on looping it around.
Yep. So, it's a little bit weaker than Neptune's armor, but I think it's honestly stronger than I mean most of these other cards. I
Yep.
think it just
For being a
it's
one cost too, like
yeah,
it definitely helps extremely.
yeah. The only negative that I would say here is that you do need to play it. Unlike Neptune's armor, where you can immediately discard it,
Right.
you need to play this. So yeah, A, high A, the highest A we can possibly give it.
Yes. Yes.
Um, okay. Next one is the Ancient Deep Sea Armor. Ancient Deep Sea Armor is a plus 300 plus 200 water, 1 EA cost, or 1 EC, sorry. When this card is played, all banished cards return to the original owner's portal. The idea is that since you're playing so many cards that end up getting banished and so on, so on, let's say you ran out of your Deep Sea Knights or all your Deep Sea Knights got banished. You play
Hmm.
this card, and now all of a sudden, all your banished cards go back into your portal and you can start over.
Right.
So it's a little bit of a clutch card. Um, I played it I played it with just one card in my banish pile, and it's just whether you want to use it or not. Um, I don't think it's better than this card. I don't think it's better than this
No.
card. I think it's somewhere around
I would say
here.
in B, for the effect, it would come in handy, yes, but it's like situational too. You would have to get to that point where you have a lot of banished cards to be in there, because I wouldn't want to use this if I only have like three or two of them. two
Yeah,
cards in the banish zone.
yeah, it's true. Yeah, I think you're right there in the middle of B. That's
Hmm.
where it should live. Okay, next we have going down the list. This is another Altar Toxic Water Beast, so it's the same. We have the Crab, Mr. Krabs.
Mr.
So,
Crab.
um, this card is,
The Crustacean Tower.
yep, if you want to go for it.
So this card gains plus 400 for each card with the name Crustacean Tower on your field or in any discard pile. It has it has 1,250 base attack. You can have up to 3 of this version in your portal, and it has 0 EA. Mm.
Hmm.
Uh, see, with this card, I have not gone against someone that had used this card
I
because
have,
there is only one of this card, which is itself.
yes, there is. Well, I mean, you need to run three. So if you're gonna run three, you're
Right.
gonna run three, right?
But other than himself, there's only one of this card that exists basically with the same name.
Correct, correct. So where I think the bonus of this card lies is you want to use it as some type of discard fodder, right? You want to have that water that you can discard to try to um, basically power up the main crustacean tower that you're gonna later play. But at that
Hmm.
point, are you really gaining that? I mean, literally, this card. So it does gain. By the way, actually, let me correct something here. When you play this card, because it says crustacean tower on your field, it does gain plus 400 right off the bat. So that is a plus. So it doesn't come in as a 1250, it comes in as a 1650. That's one clarification.
Hmm.
I wish if would have said well, I don't wish it would have said it excludes this one card, but you know, it doesn't say that, so it does count itself. Um, but what I probably think more is this card can only go up to 2450 at the max. And I know that it's a lot of power, right? But this card is also very, very kind of like situational. I don't
Hmm.
know if it's really worth it. I think it's good, but you need to run three of them. Um, I think maybe it's here. I,
With it's being situational, you have to run 3 of the same card. If it had more crustacean tower like other variants, it would be better before it just to have itself, and you have to run 3 of itself.
yeah, exactly.
Eh, I don't know how to feel on it.
It's like the golems. Oh no, not even the golems. It's like the ravens.
The Ravens barely have anything.
Exactly, right? So it's a card that it only works with itself. It's powerful.
But at least this one has more base attack than the Ravens.
I do agree. I do agree there. Poor ravens, bashing them so hard. Um, I if I'm playing a water portal, I'm playing three of this card. If I'm not playing a
Yes,
water
yes.
portal, I'm not playing this card.
I'm
So
not going to be playing that card at all if I'm not running a water portal.
right, and so at that point, I'm just gonna leave it where it is.
Right. Like,
Right.
at least
Low.
it has some high attack. I guess with the meaning, with the fact that it goes off of itself, sometimes it gets very situational within games where cards say that and doesn't specify
Yeah.
if it's itself. But since it does, at least he's starting off with 1600.
Yep. Yeah, because it does say on your field or in any discard pile. So, oh, by the way, if your opponent has crustacean towers, they're screwed.
Oh man, yeah, because you're
Right.
basically stacking as well.
Yeah. Well, you both are screwed, but it's a matter of who has the most at the time of summon. Let's move on to the next one.
Alright.
Next one is the
Oh, I like this one.
shell shark.
Mm-hmm.
Shell shark is a 1300 base attack, 0 EA. This card gains plus 200 every turn it is on the field. If you have at least 5 water attributes in your discard pile, this card cannot be banished or exiled. So that means that you can only defeat this card by pure sheer power, by just
Mm-hmm.
beating it in combat. Or drag to the grave. God bless Drag to the Grave. Drag to the Grave is just such a powerful card because it ignores all these other um, conditions, basically, and just drags everything to the grave.
Mm-hmm.
Now, here's the thing. This card is this card gains plus 200 every turn it is on the field. To count it for the effect to be live, this card needs to be face up. That does not count while it's face down. So you cannot play this turn one face down and then expect this to start rolling up in value. No, you need to play this face up. You need to let it survive. It's going to be hard to make it survive, but the idea is you negate, you protect it, you activate other effects and everything to try to get this card to stay alive. What do you think about it?
Right. So with that, if you with this card, I would like to run this card as for a mono water team with the second effect. It would definitely come in handy. Just as is, if I'm not running it, I mean, I would personally would still run in certain portals because I like how it ramps up every time that it's on the field. You would have to get someone that's at least with mid tier attack to defeat this card, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, basically, on the first turn, I can just throw this out. When it comes back around, he's already at 1500.
Yep, correct. Um, again, to I won't dispute it. It's a good card. Where would you place it?
I would say high B, just cause it it has to at least get past the turn for it to get a problem, to have a
Yeah,
problem with
yeah,
being destroyed.
yep. I
After you get
agree.
through the first turn, all right, they have to start coming up with something, because every time this starts coming by, that it's gonna keep on ramping up.
Yep. And if you're in a water attribute portal, getting 5 cards in your discard pile is not hard. It's honestly not.
Hmm.
So, yeah, this card's good. B's solid B is good. Next one.
Next one is
The
the
Blue
beetle.
Beetle. Okay, Blue Beetle Knight. These are Keith's favorites. If you have one other beetle in your field or discard pile, this card gains plus 100. If you have two, this card gains plus 500 and cannot be banished. So this is one of those examples where you play this, you have two other beetles, you equip this card, and boom, at the end of the turn, this card survives because it cannot be banished. Simple as that.
Right, right.
Um, Beetles are tricky. They're hard to pull off. I've tried multiple times. I've seen people pull them off, but it's tricky. Um,
See, with this beetle, it it's weaker than the rest, basically. Is
yeah,
it better than the beetle king? No, not
no,
even.
no, no. The Beetle King is
Yeah, no.
1500. It's insane.
1500, and it
Even
gets
the red
higher
one,
bonuses.
even the Samurai Beetle is better. Like
Yeah,
so,
and then
the problem with it, and in my honest opinion, is that the first effect, when you only have one other beetle, the plus 100, just getting it to 1200 is not enough. Because
no.
in the red beetle, when the first effect, it gives it plus 200, and on the green beetle, it gives it plus 300. So we're saying that, this card only grows really not that much in comparison to the other two. So if it's not going to grow that much in comparison to the other two, you might as well just play the other two rather than this one. Now, the big gain is if you have all three. If you really have all three, you essentially are getting the benefit of all three, which is the whole cannot be banished, cannot be exiled, the buffs between all of them. They end up becoming solid cards. Problem being, this card is still, um, let's see, it is, if you have two, um, this would be a
1600.
1700.
Hmm.
So here's how I see it, and we can have a discussion about this. The first effect is if you have one, it gains plus 100, right? If you have two, it gains plus 500. Does the first 100 go away?
Yeah, that goes away, and it just gets another just 400 basically. It shouldn't
Okay.
stack the first one, so it's 1600.
Okay, I see. I see.
But but how we put with the other beetles, we put the red one above the green one only because he had at least an equipment slot, at
Oh yeah,
least, which
yeah,
benefited him.
yeah.
At
I
least this
agree.
one has two equipment slots, but it doesn't get the huge amount of bonus just like the green one does. At least the green one gets a bigger bonus with no equipment slot. This one is even worse. It has equipment slot, but it still doesn't even have the better bonus. So,
I wish this guy would have had three EAs.
oh man, if he had three, I would have thrown him in A.
Yeah,
There's nothing to it.
yeah. I
He'll
agree.
be powerful,
Yeah, I agree. I wish he
but
would have had three EAs. And you know,
with him
I
right now,
where would you put him with him right
I
now?
would say I would put him in at least in B. But
Where in B?
we're let's see. Let me. He would be at least over the water dragon, most definitely. Over the water knight. Do you think he would be better than? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um.
I think it's better than that.
Okay.
I don't know if he's better than the
No.
Water Sprite.
No. Just still with the water sprite being
Man,
able to get on the other opponent's field and disrupt them from equipment.
Keith is gonna kill us. He's gonna say that you guys really think Blue Beetle is worse than
Hey, but
Alliance.
hey, think of it. You're stopping them from an equipment space and losing their attack. You know how many people only have one equipment space, and you're just gonna stop them right there and then?
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah. I mean, no, I don't disagree with that. Yeah. Um, I've had so many times where I had the blue beetle in my hand and I'm afraid to play it because I don't have any other beetles on the field or in the discard pile, so I don't get any bonuses from it. And
Mhm.
then on top of that, am I really going to waste a bunch of equips on it just for it to die? And if it dies, yes, it does buff the next set of beetles, but again, it gave the opponent a point, and I lost an ally and possibly equipment trying to get it high enough or low enough, right? Like, yeah, B. There you go. I'm done with that. Next one.
Our next one would be the Dark Sapphire Knight.
Is it? Isn't it this one?
That's the Water Knight,
Oh,
and
oh,
then
yeah, yeah.
that's Deep Sea Knight right next to it.
But
No, one over. Yeah, and then it would be Dark Sapphire. Yeah.
okay, yeah, Dark Sapphire. There we go. Okay, you want to go for Sapphire one?
All right, Dark Sapphire Knight. So once per turn, you can banish a dark or a water card from your hand. If you do this, you can revive any ally from any discard pile with the 800 base attack and then 2 equipment space. It's just like the regular Sapphire Knight, but this one includes also dark, which comes in handy, honestly.
Yeah, that does. It's basically building off of our girl here, the Sapphire Knight, and honestly, it's better than
It
her.
will better, yeah, it'll be better than her at least because you can have 2 attributes that you
Plus,
can banish.
plus sick art on her.
hmm
Um, okay, and then we get the one everyone hates to see.
I love to see this card.
This card is a man. Actually, I'm even gonna put it.
It has to be.
I'm gonna put
I
it
was gonna
there.
say SS or S, just cause it takes it. You can put it on someone's equipment space, but this one it's minus 200.
Yeah, and
So
minus
with
200 matters.
yes, most definitely, especially as said, if it's placed on in a like say a Deep Sea Knight with only having one EA space, just making him bump down to 800. That's it's pretty crazy to me.
Yep, yep. So many people hate this card, and just because so many people hate it, I think it stands on its own two legs,
Yep.
two tiny little legs, but it stands on them. Um,
Like you don't even have to play it as an equipment. You can play it as an equipment. You can play it as its own. You can even play on your opponent's field. That's where the like versatile he is. You just can go anywhere.
yep,
Literally.
yep. Um, it's good. It's just good.
For me, he's the high S for me
High
over
S.
the other two.
Okay, there you go. Good. Actually, I would put that one there. I think this
Okay.
one's better than that one.
Yeah, yeah. I can agree with that.
Okay, next one. This guy. Okay, so he is Protheus. 1300 0 EA. Nobody would play it.
That's all he is. There's nothing else to him.
I wouldn't play it. Would you play it?
Right. No, there's not really else to him. That's
Actually,
all.
I'm
would
gonna move
say.
it to D because it
I would
has a
say.
high attack. But
Yeah.
even there, but even like like I wouldn't play it on my portal. I think it would be a waste if
I
I
wouldn't either.
found this card in my portal.
But with the next equipment with it, it does synergize well with a mono team, and I'll let you go with into that one.
So Water Mage Lance is a 1 EC or equip cost plus 300. This card has 0 EC for water allies. So the idea is that you can equip this to this and it gave plus 300.
Uh huh.
But there are so many better damn targets for this Water Mage Lance. You can equip it to a Deep Sea Knight. You can equip it to like literally any other water card, and it would be better than just equipping it to something that doesn't have anything else.
Right. And with that equipment, just have being able to you run it on a mono water, it can just be at 0 cost. That card is key,
Yeah,
literally key to have.
yeah. I
Because
think synergizing wise, I think it's right, maybe right here after the Crab Knight.
Okay, yeah, because it still has to be a water team
Yeah.
for it to actually, to do something.
Yep.
Oh,
Okay.
here we go. That's us.
Let me double check something. Yep. Okay. Okay. Let's go for the king. The king of all kings.
Mm-hmm.
Neptune's armor. Neptune's armor is a plus 300 plus 200 to water. Multiple. You can have up to three of them. Cost one EC. During this turn, before your attack phase, you can discard this card from your field or inventory, aka your hand. Um, and if this card is in your discard pile, you can banish it if you do negate an attack. So essentially, what do you do with this card? Is you draw it, you discard it immediately,
Mm-hmm.
and you leave it in
And
the discard pile. And upon as soon as your opponent is going to land some attack, you boom, bada bing, negate.
yeah, and I would say everyone has this in their portal.
Yes.
At least one. And if you really want to have all three, is what I usually do.
I think people have played this card even if they're not running a single water card. And that just tells you how
How
powerful
broken it is.
this negate is because the fact that you do not have to play it, you just discard it. So it's a instant negate. There are other negates in the game that you can play from hand, such
Mm-hmm.
as the light one, the little light knight that you play from hand and it negates. You can use the rhinos, which we're gonna cover soon. Um, you can play them from your hand and they negate, right?
Right.
This card though is so good because it synergizes really well with the water attribute portals. The ability to just discard all three of them is really good. It's just such a good card, honestly. So many people play it. It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that's it for the water. Anything else? Any conclusions?
Think that is it.
Water is such a strong portal. Um, a lot of people at the beginning started creating water portals because they saw the potential in all these cards, and I agree with them. Water is pretty broken. Well, that's it. Thank you, everybody. See you on the next one.
Peace.